Okay, so before I get into the secret of how we can use clear channel rush LINTBALL as a secret weapon for free energy, first I'd like to say we're using a Velleman meter model DMV850BL, this guy right here, and we've got it set up for resistance. We've got it set on 200 ohms, and let's see if I can short the leads together so you can see it goes to 0. Okay, so that's really close to 0 when you're on 200 ohms. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to turn this off so we don't, this is powered by a 9-volt battery, by the way. Turn this off so we don't waste our battery. And we'll put this over here, and I've already taken readings on the circuit I'm going to show you. Now, I'm going to pan the camera around over here, and as you can see on the wall there, hanging down, I made out of a coat hanger, I made a kind of a squashed loop antenna. And let's see if we can take this camera over a little closer. We connected the open ends of the squashed loop antenna to a capacitor. It's a 0.043 microfarad capacitor, which is more or less just two plates inside of it, kind of like a plastic casing, so that it completes the circuit. And I took some readings and I put them on my other camera here, and what I'll do is I'll side load, not upload or download, but side load what's on this camera into this computer, and then I'll connect the two videos together so that you can see the readings that simple loop antenna with a capacitor on it was picking up. Okay, so what it's basically doing, it's picking up radio signals. And you might say, well, you know, any radio can do that. And that's true. But let me ask you this. You ever see these guys with the big boom boxes walking down the street and blasting them real loud? Maybe they got like 200 watts going, you know. So if they got 200 watts coming out of that boom box, and it's usually powered by 8 D batteries, and each D battery is 1.5 volts, and they also have 1.5 amps each battery. So you put them batteries in series, you get 1.5 amps at 12 volts. So you multiply that and you get the wattage. So what's that, about 18 watts? Okay, so let's say, and when you turn the volume up, you know, you get the full 18 watts, right? And it sounds really loud, okay? But let's say we disconnected the speaker, and instead we hooked in an electric motor, something like this one here. Hooked in an electric motor. This is 700 turbo from a model aircraft plane. So let's say we hooked in this electric motor to where the speaker leads are. Then we'd have a propeller spinning around, right? Well, we get rid of this propeller, and instead we shaft connect it to, let's say, a Cadillac alternator. Now, if we can get this 700 turbo motor spinning fast enough from the power coming out of that speaker connection, it would turn the Cadillac alternator, and the Cadillac alternator puts out 13 volts. Some of them put out 80 amps. So now we've taken, you calculate 13 times 80, how many watts is that? So now we've taken, 12 watts or whatever, and turned it into, a couple hundred watts. Okay? So then we take that alternator, the output of that alternator, and we hook it up to, of course, the alternators have rectifiers built into them, so it's putting out DC. Hook that up to a bigger electric motor, which is shaft connected to a bigger alternator, maybe like one in a Honda generator, and now all of a sudden you've got 1,000 watts. Now 1,000 watts is a hell of a lot of power compared to, a 12 or 16 volt solar panel. So you tune in Rush Limbaugh on a 50,000 watt clear channel, and you've got all your stuff hooked up, and now you're getting 1,000 watts. Now they put their signal out at 50,000 watts, but when it comes through the air, it's down to like 20 microamps and 20 millivolts or less. But nevertheless, maybe with the volume control, you crank it all the way up, you could end up with 1,000 watts coming out of the other end of this contraption. Now the Mexicans would call this a cochinada. And the crazy people would call it a hammer saw. But a technician like me would call it using what you got to get more out of what you want, if you know what I'm saying. So that's how we can take a blowhard like Rush Limbaugh, who's a Republican shill, and those people are really evil when they want to put entitlements like Social Security and Medicare on the table, turn it against them to bypass the oil companies. So how many of you people out there watching this video are willing to take a boombox and rip out the speaker and connect in a motor and see what happens? See what happens. And happy birthday to Tesla. I think today's his birthday, or maybe it was yesterday. But anyway, we'll make this video in the honor of Tesla.